How's it going, everyone? There is a cute little math trick going around on social media, and I thought I'd show it to you, explain how it works. It's fun, it's elegant, and you can show it off to your friends, family, and all that. So here's what happens. Draw a triangle, or you can ask someone to draw a triangle, and then ask them to pick 3 numbers. I'm just going to go with today's date, which is December the 5th, 2023. Really, any numbers will work. And put each of the 3 numbers on separate corners of the triangle. Then ask them for each side of the triangle to add the numbers at the 2 corners touching that side. So for example, for the left side here, we would have to add 12 and 23, and that gives us 35. And for the right side, we would add 12 and 5, which gives us 17. And for the bottom side, we would add 23 and 5, which gives us 28. Then you're going to draw a line from each corner to the opposite side and add those 2 numbers on the opposite corner and side. So in this case, you ask them 12 plus 28, and they would say 40. And then you ask them, okay, well, what about this pair of opposite corner and side? 23 plus 17. Ask them to add it. Well, that also happens to be 40. And for the last pair of opposite corner and side, 35 plus 5, ask them, and the answer, in our case here, is once again 40. And it doesn't matter what 3 numbers you pick to begin with. When you add up those opposite corners and sides, the answer will always be the same for each pair. It might not be 40, but it will always be the same number. And they'll be impressed and go, oh wow, how strange. And there's a trick to this. Now, if you want to figure out why it's always going to be the same number, I'm going to suggest you pause now, because I'm about to spoil it and explain it, right? So I'll give you a chance to pause now, because I'll explain it in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's how it works. People look at this and they think, oh, it must be some intriguing property of triangles. It's actually a really ordinary property of addition. And that property is that you can add numbers in any order and the result will be the same. So here's what's going on. You've got your triangle. And those 3 numbers, let's call them A, B, and C. So when we add the 2 corners touching this left side, what are we getting? We're getting A plus C. What about on the right side? Well, that's A plus B. And on the bottom, B plus C. So when we take our first pair of opposite side and corner and add them, what are we getting? A plus B plus C. What about this pair of opposite side and corner here? Well, that's A plus B plus C. And our last pair here, well, again, that's A plus B plus C. You're just adding the 3 numbers you started off with. You're adding them in a different order, but you're just adding those 3 numbers, so of course you will get the same answer every time. Now, the elegance to this trick is actually something very similar to what's done in a lot of card tricks, where the magician forces you to pick a particular card. They know what card it is from the beginning. They shuffled the deck in such a way that made you pick that card. And if that was the whole trick, where they ask you to pick a card, you pick a card, you look at it, and they say, it's the Queen of Hearts. And they say, oh wow, yeah, that is the Queen of Hearts that I picked. That's not a very impressive trick. Because it's obvious, okay, well, they knew what card I'm picking. Okay, so what? But instead, they lay out the cards in some fancy pattern. You put your cards somehow into that pattern. It's rearranged, maybe with some choices that you make. And eventually, this rearranging pattern converges to the card that you selected. And oh, wow, how did that happen? That's impressive. That's what's going on here. Okay, if the trick was just pick 3 numbers, A, B, and C, and then you're asked, hey, add the first two numbers, and then add the third one to the result. And then you're told, add the last two numbers, and then add the first one to the result. And then you're told, hey, add the first and last number, and then add the middle one to the result, and it's the same result every time. Well, that's not impressive. You're just adding three numbers in a different order each time. Of course the answer is the same. But you lay it out in a pretty looking pattern, a pattern that somehow hides what trick is going on here. Well, then adding three numbers in a different order and getting the same answer suddenly looks very impressive. And that's what's cool about these tricks, because a lot of things in life work that way. Okay, you have a plate with some food on it arranged in one way, it just looks like an ordinary meal, but the same plate with the same food arranged differently on the plate, and it suddenly looks like something very fancy. So, I hope you enjoyed that trick. Go ahead, try it on others, and until next time.